right, the rumors of our demise were greatly exaggerated. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another season of Moonhawk Studios Presents. It is season 17, episode 1, and I am your host, Mac Paladin. With me in the studio, as always, is my good friend, Adam.
One more season and we get a free sandwich.
Well, now that the podcast is 17 seasons old, I no longer have to get a smog test. Anyway, Kevin's in the house.
Make it 4 more seasons, we'll be old enough to drink.
There you go. Petty Fan's kicking around here somewhere.
I'm still alive. For now.
And the being who identifies as the Galax.
Hi, I'm present.
All right, we got a great show for you tonight. We got a great guest tonight. But before we get to all that, let's get to the news. Adam, what's cooking?
Let's see. Got my latest, not physical, but check-in with the doctor, the PCP, the other day. Going good for the most part, though they are a bit concerned about my blood pressure that elevated when I visited. So they want me back in 6 weeks for a vitals check. And also I have to head back there in 2 weeks for a flu shot. So that taken care of. And, that's the big thing that happened during the break. Let's see. Mother's illness is basically abated by this point, which is relief. I don't have to, take her places and get her things anymore. And yeah, that's been my break.
All right.
Kevin?
Well, nothing really much happening down here, thankfully. Basically, the busy period in the movies has come and went, and holidays are on the way, and I don't know how busy they're going to be considering everything, but yeah, not really much happening here, so, Petty, you're up.
Well, the biggest issue with over my break involves a little bit of a story time. About 5 years ago, we had a tall truck go in front of our house that ripped the cable line off from the pole off of our house. Brought down the cable and internet, and we had somebody from the cable company come and fix it. Well, cut to a few weeks ago. It's been having issues. It seemed like every time it rained here, internet would sometimes get real slow or cut out a little bit. And it was to the point where we had no internet at all, like a couple weeks ago when it rained. So we had a tech come and take a look. Turns out the idiots, when they fixed it originally, they put a indoor rated splice on it when they should have put an outdoor rated one.
Oh my god.
Oh,
my
fun.
dad would be cursing right now.
Mac, I'm a certified network technician. I actually went to school for some of this shit, so...
So did I.
Yeah, I was doing my damnedest not to pop a blood vessel in front of the tech who was informing me of this.
Only thing that's only thing that's dumber would be those times when my dad used to have to go out to the airport to fix 3,000 pairs of unmarked trunk cable because somebody dropped a backhoe over the end of the runway at Lindbergh Field.
Oh my god. I could get into cabling nightmares, but we'd be here all night.
He worked for the phone company, as we said in the pre-show.
Yeah, but yeah, it would have cost them 30 cents to do it right, but instead they put a indoor rated splice. So yeah, I know that feel.
That's like driving a fence post through a pressurized conduit.
Yeah. Like, I could see if it was, like, some places there, like, the coaxial stuff has at least a covering over splices on the pole or something to protect it, but nah, it was just hanging. No protection, no cover. Not even duct tape around it. So yeah. Yeah, now that that's been fixed, our internet is remarkably better. Who would have thought?
Oh my god.
And then, as far as other things that happened, my mom finally got her personal injury settlement from her previous job, because like 2019 she had a bad fall and basically destroyed her rotator cuff.
Yikes.
But yeah, she finally got her injury settlement for that. Only thing that kind of sucks is that she can now no longer work at that hospital ever again. So it kind of sucks because she went to school for surgical technology. You know, if you ever see on any of those ER shows or whatever, when the doctor asks for a scalpel, my mom will be the one who would hand the doctor the scalpel. So she went to school for that, and now she can, because of the injury, she can't work that job period anymore, and she couldn't even work. Like, she can no longer work at the hospital she worked at for 8 years. They just threw her out on her ass after, 8 years of service, which kind of sucks. But especially because the fall that she had was of no fault of her own. It was a unmarked, like, I guess, sticky spot. Like, I could see if she was doing, stupid shit like trying to surf office chairs in the back room on her break or whatever. So that does kind of suck, but she likes her job now at the prosthetic clinic. She's basically a receptionist. So all's well that ends well. And like with the money, she had to borrow significant sums of money from my sister and I when they stopped paying her unemployment. So she's going to be paying my sister and I back over the weekend, and I'm going to use some of that money to get a PS5. I'm probably going to wait till the Slims come out and grab one of those, just because why not? It's the new model. Unless I can find a decent deal on a disc version of the original PS5, then I'm probably just going to get a Slim. And since all of my PS4 games are compatible with the PS5, I already talked to the guys at the game shop I usually go play Digimon at, and they take my PS4 on trade-in. Just the console itself was like $100, and then if I trade in one or two of my extra controllers, I basically covered a good amount of what I would pay for my PS5 back. So that's nice.
You've said PS5
So, yeah,
so many times now, all I can think about is that video where he says, I have 5 PS5s.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all fun and dandy, and a lot of stuff is going to be going on over the next few weeks, because with the money we're also going to be getting, we have a dead tree in our backyard that got struck by lightning a couple years ago, and leaves haven't been growing on it, so we're pretty sure it's dead. But there's a large tree limb that if the tree falls over, it's in danger of hitting the house.
Oof.
So we've already talked to a guy, we're gonna see about getting at least that limb removed. So if the tree does fall, it's only a mild inconvenience and not someone call the insurance adjuster,
Yeah. It's like, we have a new drive-in window at our house.
Yeah, in the second story.
Yeah.
Well, like sometimes it brushes up against the bay window we have, and do you know how much it costs to replace a bay window? Spoilers, it's like 3 or 4 figures.
It's like $5,000.
Yeah.
5 to $8,000 because you also have to do some structural damage replacement.
Yeah, depending on what happens, yeah. And also the cats will be very, very pissed.
Yeah. But you'll give
So,
them some
yeah.
lovely cardboard to play with when you patch over the hole.
But yeah, so we're also going to see about getting our pool fixed or replaced, depending on what happens. So we'll have a pool this summer again. Yay!
Yeah, you'll just have to, they'll have to do the repairs or dig it up before the ground hardens in the winter.
It's above ground.
Ah, well, there's that.
Yeah, we technically could get an in-ground pool, but there's some utilities under in the backyard that technically could be rerouted, but doing all that, the pool would end up costing more than the house.
Yeah.
So we're not doing that for obvious reasons. And also we're going to see about getting my niece her own Nintendo Switch. So that'll be fun. And I think that's it for me.
All right. Alex, what do you got cooking?
Well, as some of you may be aware, I live in the state of Maine, and there was a bit of a news incident there.
Oh?
There was. Lewiston?
Yeah. Thankfully,
Yeah.
I do not live that close to Lewiston, so I was not personally affected, but my boss closed the office and had us work from home for a couple of days, and it was still very stressful because, especially as time increases, you never know where some guy's going, even if he did eventually turn up to be dead in a dumpster in the same town.
You're gonna have to expand on that because not everybody knows what the hell you guys are talking about. When
we had the biggest mass shooting in the state's history on Thursday last week.
Yikes!
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
like 18 people died and at least an additional dozen or so wounded.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it was 18 dead and one of the dozen. Yeah, and Maine is a state that has no red flag laws. And
we have a yellow flag law apparently, but that wasn't implemented because apparently this guy was just full of goddamn warning signs. But yes, Maine is a very woods and hunting state, so any actual severe attempts at gun control are generally not popular. Although our senator for the northern half of the state has decided that since he's from Lewiston, he's going to be congressperson. Sorry, he's going to be in favor of an assault weapons ban now.
Because there's no reason to ever have any sort of assault weapon. Come at me, fuckers.
Right. Well, no, it's useful if you want to shoot a lot of people.
Oh my god.
He's not wrong, and I hate it.
That's what the army uses them for.
There goes our monetization.
It's fine. We're past 20 minutes.
According to the ticker, we're at 14 minutes and 32 seconds. But anyway.
Well, rest in peace, Mac.
I always
this week anyway.
Anyway, so that was a bit stressful over the last week or so.
I knew I picked the wrong week to activate the 55% revenue share.
So yeah, other than that,
we got 4 more weeks.
That kind of blew most of the other stuff that had been in my mind out of it before that, and then end of this week is my cousin's son's birthday, which unfortunately I'm not going to be going down for, but we're going to try to work out a way that I can do it next time because there were some concerns about various things involving traveling to Rhode Island. But I'm sending a present and a card, so.
Yeah.
I just want to be involved with. We're calling him my nephew, even though it's technically a second cousin once removed or something. Because I am extremely unlikely to ever have a kid. My sister's not interested, and I don't have any other older or even close cousins or siblings, so this is kind of the best shot I have. You know? So, we'll figure something out.
Alrighty then.
That's about all I got.
All right. Well, the big news on my agenda, of course, is that Varias and Kietra are packing up and moving to Indiana.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, man.
So I will be roommateless. Except for my cats.
Oh, boy.
Tippy and Doodles are sticking around. And,
are they taking any your cats? Are they taking any cats with them?
Well, they brought Licorice with them. Pixie and Gizmo are probably going with them. For sure. There was some talk about Licorice staying behind with me, but I don't know. We'll see how all that goes, but there's been a lot of stuff going on with Kietra's family as she gets older. People are dying in unfortunately large numbers.
Oof.
Her sister was diagnosed with stage 3 or stage 4 cancer. It was ovarian. There are more grandkids now than there were before they moved out here. Twice in a row now, she's kind of missed the holidays because it was a thing that in November and December she would get a plane ticket and go out there. And now she's kind of missed it twice in a row. The family member / family friend that was supposed to be in Scottsdale never materialized. So she'd have some kind of connection. And so it's been rough. So they're going to be going back east to be closer to family because that'll put them within 2 hours of like Nashville, places in Pennsylvania and Massachusetts where the family they have like a thing to where they all meet up in Tennessee and then kind of make their parabolic course through Pennsylvania and Massachusetts to visit the rest of the family throughout the holidays. So they start picking up people along the way and shuttling up there in a car.
Yeah. And up that interstate. Yep. I've been on those interstates in that region, so yeah, I can see how that works.
You add 1,700 miles to that, and it becomes an impossible journey.
Yeah.
Especially since they don't have a vehicle of their own, and I have not been able to provide a secondary vehicle for the household due to various health problems of my own. So they will be going. There will be continuity with our programming and the verified art stream, and continuing with Starship Moonhawk films as well as the Lavender series and all that good stuff. And this won't really have an impact on Up Late with Mace other than me shuffling around my Monday and Tuesday programming a little bit. So we'll see how that goes.
More pantsless streams. I mean, wait, what?
I mean, you wouldn't know when I'm VTubing.
Exactly.
Even though I do have one avatar that doesn't have official bottoms, if you want to get into it.
I got you, Mac.
I have earned live access on TikTok, and I have activated. So the way it works is there's a tiering system. When you get to 1,000 followers on TikTok, you get the opportunity to go live and use their studio option if you are a gaming content creator. If you do anything else, then the threshold can be anywhere from 2,000 to 10,000 followers. I get 7 days to stream for at least 25 minutes before they decide they're going to revoke live access and make me do it all over again. This time with 2,000 to 10,000 followers. So I have 7 days to do a 25-minute minimum stream without any community violations. We'll see how that goes.
So
good luck with that.
Break in the first 20 seconds.
Yeah. And then I get.
So the thing with Hong Kong is, wait, what?
Provided nothing untoward happens. Provided nothing untoward happens, then I get reevaluated every 180 days after that. So we'll see if we can generate some growth and revenue. My ultimate goal is to simulcast on Twitch with Twitch and TikTok with Up Late with Mace. So we'll see how that goes. The follower count on the Twitch account over there has been kind of stagnating of late. We got to about 123 followers in near record time, and we've been kind of just sitting there ever since. But I have had kind of a scattershot schedule. Even this channel has kind of cooled a little bit because the only thing we've been consistently doing is Blue Mondays, which is our City of Heroes get together. And, Varias and I have been doing the rarefied art stream with about a 95% successful landing rate for the past few months. And of course, during the last 4 weeks while MSP was on hiatus. So that dropped me to 2 streams per week on Retro Gaming Emporium. And that's because during the break, I moved all of FPS Shenanigans to Kick. So Monday and Fridays, I'm on Kick on Mondays from 5 to 7 Pacific and from 6 to 8 on Fridays. And I've eliminated all of my weekend streams because I need to maximize my working hours on the weekend because that's when I make the most money. Funny story about that. I never actually executed. So I'm going to be doing a 3rd FPS Shenanigans solo, playing Call of Duty Mobile on Saturdays, starting after Varias and Kietra move to Indiana. Because that Saturday the 11th is a no-go for me because Varias and her new roommate are going to be here with a truck unloading all of their stuff out of the apartment, and I don't want that distraction while I'm trying to stream. So that's going to be a new Saturday feature starting the 17th. I believe. No, the 18th. That's the math on that, right? That's the following Saturday.
I don't know how numbers work, bro.
Well, if Saturday the 11th is departure day, then the following week, 7 days hence, would be the 18th, correct? 11 plus
maybe.
7. These kids failed 4th grade math, so
In my defense, I'm playing Splatoon.
In addition to that, we'll be adding a new Up Late with Mace feature on yet another channel. Because I will be doing Not Safe for Work streaming Saturday nights from 9 p.m. until midnight on Picardo.
Oh man!
So Friday is my I call it Femme Fridays because I do sexy pinups and stuff like that. Don't get twisted up on that because I do sometimes draw dudes. But it just, I don't know. It may be an ADHD thing, it may be a spectrum thing. I don't know what it is, but I am constantly doing alliteration with my programming. So Waifu Wednesday, Femme Friday, Mobile Mayhem. That's kind of how we got it. So no need to get it twisted. It's just ADHD alliteration fun. because that's my thing. But I will be doing not safe for work stuff, so that way I will finally be able to clear my commissions queue and actually start earning money again, so that way I don't have to kill myself.
Sell your kidney.
Yeah, I don't have to unalive myself doing DoorDash deliveries ever again. I've been doing that all last month because my insurance lapsed and I wasn't able to get the renewal in time, and so I could not drive people on Uber and Lyft, and so I probably left about $1,500 in revenue on the table because I was forced to do deliveries with my decrepit ass. Yeah. It was not a good time. It was not a good time. But yeah. And of course, I've been stressing over that because their reporting and reviewing process is Byzantine and scary. Like the entire layout of the thing and their scoring system makes me feel like I'm staring at perpetual triangle face. And you know, if you've seen the movie Your Highness, you know why that's a bad thing. So that's pretty much it for me. It's going to be TikTok living and adding new programming in the new year. I've got a tablet. I've got a new Wacom One tablet coming in from my friend from San Diego tomorrow. I'll be picking it up at the UPS pickup station at Michael's across the street. And I will be, and then after the move, I will be restoring the art studio to the front bedroom.
Oh man!
So I will actually have, I will have some more room to maneuver, and I'll be able to change things around more easily, because right now I'm kind of wedged in like a wet hedgehog.
Does the hedgehog at least go fast?
We lost Adam.
Oh, did we?
Adam, are you back?
Ah, there he is.
Yeah. Cut out there for a second.
Oh boy.
Well, you got back just in time because I was about to introduce the guest and we were about to do the show proper. So
okay.
So let's get this let's get into our bunker positions and get this on the road. So he's been waiting patiently in the wings. Our guest tonight is LipnoxVR. Welcome.
How's it going, guys? Thank you so much for having me on here. So I got a message and I was like, oh, someone wants to do a podcast with me. I'm happy to be on here and hang out with you guys, talk VR or talk gaming. Got a big retro vibe too, and it's funny you guys contacted me for VR because I always do the retro things in VR. Funny enough, but thank you guys so much for having me.
Absolutely. Well, at some point, I've got my machine set up, so at some point I will probably have your channel as something as a graphic in the middle of our screen here, so that way we have some actual animation or movement. But let's start with the standard line of questioning. So tell us about yourself and what you do.
So basically, I got into doing YouTube because honestly, I've watched YouTube things, and back in the day when I was younger, Extended Play and X Play with Adam Sessler. So it was always in my head that I wanted to do something to review video games or show off video games. Mm-hmm. And when I had a PlayStation VR, there was a little bit of like testing the waters with that because I was just sort of doing fun things. But when I got the Quest 1, it made recording so easily in the headset, and I was going on a website called SideQuestVR.com, which has tons of indie games and lots of sort of retro kind of VR port types of things. But basically, I was noticing a huge trend where people were making awesome things, but no one was actually doing videos for them. So I just kind of tested the waters and did a few fun videos, but I got traction very quickly because I decided to make a very hilarious, well, it was actually a stupid video, but basically it was a Minecraft VR video when it came out for PlayStation VR. And I used the PlayStation Move controllers to move the analog sticks on the controller. And I tried to make that obvious in the video, but it was basically a joke because endlessly the first day that game came out, every live stream had a million people asking, can you use Move controllers? To the point where almost every live stream had it in the title that you could not use Move controllers, but still people kept asking. And that video got like over 100,000 views and kind of skyrocketed my channel to relevancy almost immediately. And since then, I've just kind of done whatever videos that I want to do. If I don't feel like I'm making something that I would enjoy watching myself, I usually don't get far enough in production to even release it. So it really comes down to, for me, what are the videos that people aren't making? Because I don't want to make the same video someone else already made. That's just a waste of time. I'm just filling the gaps for the stuff that's not getting its attention. And that's kind of the way I've always done my channel. Have fun with it. But I mostly focus on MetaQuest or Oculus Quest, depending on where you're at this point in the timeline. But
right.
That's basically where I go with the content that I make. I haven't been as active recently, but in a sad state of everything, there hasn't been a lot of things in the VR space that have been overly exciting for me beyond, the new Quest coming out. But even then, there's not a lot of new with the headset yet. So I'm sort of biding my time, waiting for that perfect thing to make a new video on.
Right. Well, I mean, if you're looking for how to on VR, you go to FIA. If you're looking for everything else,
exactly. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. It's just there's so much individual content and things that I'm like, this is a small indie game. There was a title, Shaven Stuff or something, or it's a shaving game. It was small. It felt like it was a small little indie game, but finally the Facebook or Meta upgraded it to the official storefront, and then it became popular on TikTok, and now it's like one of the top selling games. And I'm sitting here like, I remember when this game, like, I couldn't even tell anyone this game existed. No one would know what I was talking about, but now it's apparently a huge hit. But for me, that speaks more about the volume of lack of things to play on the headset more than the game itself being good. It is a good game, but so many years ago, Half-Life Alyx came out and blew everyone's mind, and now I'm excited. We're supposed to be excited about a game where we shave cartoon characters, and it's still cool, but it's just not as cool as it used to be when I got the headset 3 years ago and started getting into making content.
I see. So now, to clarify for everybody, because I talked about this in the beginning of the during my news segment on the show. I am a VTuber on my other channel. I'm what you call a multifaceted variety streamer. I have dedicated channels for each type of content that I do. Here at Retro Gaming,
okay, yeah.
I talk about technology, and I'm on Facecam most of the time. And I do artwork and film production and talk about my novels and webcomics and play old games and abandonware and stuff like that. And then, of course, on my VTubing channel, I have my 3D avatar. But you're in a different space.
It's funny you mentioned the avatar, because I actually have a VR chat avatar that is sort of... Admittedly, I cheaped out and just got someone that had already created a cool avatar I liked to just sort of change a couple things and throw my logo on the hat. Mm-hmm. But when you're physically in the VR space versus being sort of the VTuber kind of thing, I can't see everything that I can't just look at my computer as easily in a sort of VTuber kind of sense being in VR chat. Mm-hmm. So if you're creating content like that, it really complicates that situation. And I've never been big on live streaming anyway, so live streaming is not really my thing. Mm-hmm. But in terms of doing, VR chat itself, you really want to have that individual identity. You want to have your own character.
Right.
And I think that a lot of people that have gone on and been popular, or no, have been popular, but been enjoying VR chat, have gone on and done, all right, now I'm paying for a $300 custom VTuber and I'm playing flat games and just showcasing that kind of stuff. There was a guy I met on VR chat super early on, and that's what he does now. I don't think he even plays VR chat anymore. He just VTubers with his expensive avatar and plays whatever games he wants to play, and mm-hmm. that's working for him. And I think, honestly, if VR's done nothing else, it's definitely normalized that sort of VTuber culture where, for me at least, when I first would see sort of like an anime character, I'd be like, oh, that's really cool, anime character. But after doing all the VR stuff, it's like, oh, I just see that as like another person because I've hung out with so many people that are wearing that kind of avatar. You kind of you stop thinking of it as like, oh, an anime character. It start thinking, oh, that's just that person, and that's the identity or character they want to represent.
Right. Or 7, in my case.
Yeah. 7, that's the thing. I mean, I technically have 2, but my first one was not good. And then there's some avatars that I like using anyway, but because I don't do VTubing, I wasn't to the level of spending money, and I don't know graphic design to make my own avatar, that's for sure.
Right. And that's why I was making the distinction, because from what I see of your channel, you occupy the space in between to where you're wearing the VR headset, but you're not necessarily portraying a character. You're actually talking about the technology of the VR space.
100%. I just sort of to me, it really comes down to, sometimes I've done a couple of videos where I've like used the avatar in the video, but at the end of the day, for me, it really comes down to I got the avatar because I just like hanging out in VR chat and wanted to have my own character. But when it comes to doing videos themselves, my attention span is very small. So when I try to make a video, I try to basically be like, well, 5 minutes is the goal. 10 minutes if it's like a list kind of thing. Anything more than 20 minutes, I'm like, I'm going to lose everyone. They're going to be bored. They can't handle 20 minutes of me, but hopefully today on the podcast they can handle that much, because you guys go pretty long.
Yes, we do. All right, so I'm gonna take a step back a little bit here, because I don't want to steal all of Adam's thunder here. I'm sure he has some specific questions for you, so we're gonna go ahead and shift gears and let Adam take over for a minute and talk to you about brass tacks here. All right, so Adam, do your thing.
Yes. Well, there's a lot of places we could start or continue on, but I suppose I should begin with the Quest 3, since your latest video is about the knuckle grips, for example. And how do you find that machine, especially compared to the Quest 2?
So it's interesting, because I've been going back and forth on this in my head for a long time since I got the headset. And I've had that headset for a couple weeks now. And the thing is that if you had a Quest 2 already, there's very little that a Quest 3 currently does that I can't do the same way on a Quest 2. But if you look into the specs and understanding everything, it's what it's going to do in the future with new titles. And you kind of choose when you want to invest in it. If you invest any time in the first year, you're paying the retail price anyway, unless you find something on Marketplace or secondhand. So you accept that, well, I'll pay the money now, but the great experiences are coming in the future. There's color pass-through, which does look cool, but it's still not crystal clear vision. Like, it's still kind of pixelated. So you can definitely do a lot of cool things with that. I've had more fun playing with my Quest 3 using my PC. There's an application called Virtual Desktop, and it has this pass-through feature where you can choose a color and remove that color and just see your space around you. So there's a game called 3D Sen, and there's a VR version of it, and it basically turns NES games into like 3D pixels. But you can combine that with this virtual desktop thing and the VR version of that app to have things like, basically every Nintendo game in like 3D blocks in your play space around you. And to me, it's like, oh, I can hang out in my room and I can have Super Mario Brothers right in front of me, and it looks 3D and fancy and all super next-gen VR, retro-ish. I mean, it seems like something Nintendo would make when they did the 3D classics for the 3DS. It's that kind of vibe almost. And I've had more fun doing stuff like that than anything. The other day, I was on social media. I forget what website. Someone posted a video. They had made a modded level for Super Mario 64, and they had designed it around their exact play space. So Mario's wall jumping off of his computer up to platforms, and there's some platforms, but he clearly designed this custom area around his exact play space, and he's playing Super Mario 64 as if it was like a hologram in front of him in his actual place. And that's the kind of stuff that makes Quest 3 exciting and new. When it comes to the technology that's in the headset, the developers haven't had the headset for more than a couple months, so they've been able to do nothing. When you look at PlayStation 5, it's 2 years into the lifespan of a system until developers truly utilize that power effectively with big games. But the Quest lifespan is like a year and a half, 2 years. So, it's hard because developers are just starting to fully utilize the power of a Quest 2 just as Quest 3 is coming along. And for people that are upgrading, it's really hard to say, look at what it does differently, because unless you go and increase the resolution or do side tricks to boost the performance of those older games, there's going to be no difference. The headset is more comfortable, yes, but at the end of the day, $150 a marketplace for a Quest 2 versus the $500 for a Quest 3, if you're a casual VR enthusiast, it's not a big jump. And if you're already just playing PC VR stuff, it's even less of a jump.
So
that's my summary on that. Basically, like, I love the headset. I wouldn't knock at the headset for a second, but it's not worth it for everyone unless they are deep in the space.
It sounds like it. That does beg the question of what would be the appeal of the Quest 3, other than it's the new Quest. It's the new Meta Oculus headset.
I would say that it being the new Quest, the new headset, is probably 75% of the appeal. That color pass through is the other 25% right now. And but my thing is with gaming, and this is where I feel like, so with PlayStation VR, it is a gaming headset. With Apple's new Vision, I think it's called Vision Pro or something. Pro. That is like an application. They're not going to get you to play games. They're going to get you to access your computer and access things like floating windows in your actual main play space. The Quest is kind of the in between on that. They do the applications, they do the games as well. But when you launch a system, Nintendo has been great about this with some of their systems and bad at other systems. But when you launch a Switch and you say, here's this brand new Breath of the Wild game for this Switch, people get excited about the Switch. When you launch a Quest 3 and there is nothing new to be excited about games-wise, nothing exclusive for the platform beyond a pre-built game that lasts 10 minutes and then it's over, it's... I can't sell gamers this headset because what's the game they want to play on it? The same games they can already play on Quest 2 that look slightly better. When Assassin's Creed comes out, maybe it's a different story, but I still think that because of the way that these headsets work, this is a lot more like upgrading a phone than it is like upgrading a game system. And, that's something that for gamers, is the Quest 3 a PS4 Pro or is it a new headset? And that's a distinction that each person's going to decide for themselves. And I think that because Meta is so focused on the application side of things, they don't see that gaming side of things and how that can hurt them negatively. And, I hope that they really pump out some big games, because this Quest 2 sold great, but it was cheap and they had Resident Evil 4 right away. There's nothing like that for Quest 3.
That is definitely a concern, to say the least, in terms of the prospects of the long-term viability of the Quest. And I suppose for the sake of supposition here, should the Quest 3 tank, what would you do in terms of your channel?
Honestly, for me, in terms of my channel, I do videos because I like making videos, because I like talking about the games. If the Quest tanked, it would make me want to make videos more because of the fact that it needs that boost. But I think we just saw it with the Quest Pro. They released this headset. I don't know why they released this headset. It did terribly. It's super expensive, and nothing it did anything special. and everything the Quest 3 does makes this $1,500 Quest Pro they released a year ago completely obsolete. Every person that bought that Quest 3 is now that Quest Pro is feeling burnt. Well, if the Quest 3 doesn't sell well either, and they have a new headset in a year, and they try to play the same game again, well, all those Quest 3 people feel burnt. I was one that I purchased a Quest 1, and then 2 months later, Quest 2 got announced, and that hurt because I was like, I just spent like $700 for this headset, and I'm in Canada, so it's a little bit more expensive, but $700 for this headset, and it's obsolete after a couple months. With Quest 3, though, the Quest 2 was already so good that, it's going to be something that it's their main headset, and the VR space is not doing as well as it was when Quest 2 first launched. So it might just be something where it's like, this is just what it is. And I hope the headset sells well, but I just feel like at the same time, I hope that Meta will see what's going on and really like give us more games to be excited about. They announced San Andreas like forever ago, and they've just dropped that entirely. That would be a game that if Quest 3 came out and you said, we got San Andreas in VR, you can explore the whole place, it's going to be awesome, all the mini game things, that would sell headsets. But like, I got this headset and I'm playing random small little Mario Party type of games because there's no games. Like there's a game called BAM, and it's fun. You get to sit in your like color pass through like your actual space, and you have a game in front of you. But this is a phone game that is just now in VR, and it looks cool in 3D. With I can look around and everything. But this is not how you launch a new headset and expect people to jump on right away. PlayStation VR 2, you had Resident Evil 8 Village in VR right away. Like it's just confusing to me the way they do it, the things, because they preach metaverse, they preach all these AI things, but there's nothing there that I can actually experience day one with this headset.
Well, it's probably not coincidental that Facebook has lost a reported $18 billion off of the Reality Labs initiative. Given that there's just nothing to do with it. Like,
I mean, we're at a space that I've been playing VR all this time, and if I were to say what's my favorite VR app, it's still VR chat, because just hanging out with people in VR is the most fun thing to do, which is why consistently the multiplayer games that get popular communities are always the most popular games. Gorilla Tag, I'm not a big Gorilla Tag guy, but you will always go into Gorilla Tag and find tons and tons of mostly younger people playing the game because they're just hanging out in VR. It's giving them a play space that's fun to interact with, but it's the social aspect. But with Facebook or Meta, they have this Horizons app, and it looks like it could be an N64 game.
Yikes!
Like, so it's just it's a hard sell on that front. Where I'm like, you know what, like, and VR chat brings its own whole world of problems because you need to have thick skin for that kind of community. Like, you need to have thick skin.
Yeah, I was hit with racial slurs and all sorts of crazy stuff the first time I even tried it.
First 5 minutes.
Yeah. I wasn't even in the room for 30 seconds and there was a dude jumping around me dropping N-bombs, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you have to have some thick skin for that place. So it's not really. I can't tell people, oh, buy a VR headset to play VR chat. You're not gonna have a good time unless you're ready to go into that world. You've already been watching people that are playing VR chat. In terms of the games, I mean, this is the other front that I do feel like the Quest headsets are the best to get into VR with, though. I can tell you, like, probably 200 experiences that are fun to play on the headset that cost you $0. You can buy this headset and not spend another dime, and you can have an endless amount of amazing games. And that's the other part too, that it's like, when I see MetaQuest 2 for $150, I'm like, yes, buy that headset. Buy those marketplace MetaQuest 2s. Get in. There's tons of free games and they'll all work great on this headset. when it's that big of a price jump for a Quest 3, it's like, okay, are you dedicated into this technology to get into it, or are you going to play with the headset for 2 months and get bored of it? Because that's what happens. People get bored of this stuff. They get into the gimmick. They get into, oh, VR is cool, but then we're dealing with a headset that's both headsets. You're looking at like 2 hours or less battery life. You got to keep it charged at all times. If you're not consistently recycling this situation, or don't have battery banks or whatever, it just creates all these problems. And the headset is even with the improved comfort, you need to buy other accessories to make this headset comfortable to wear for more than an hour anyway. And that's even still with the Quest 3. And I feel like the more they do, the less I feel like they're going to lose the casual audience because they don't make it easy to just jump in and do all the stuff. But they're not going to keep the hardcore people either, because they're not giving the hardcore people anything to get excited about. They finally, after a million years, have finally, in beta form, added a feature so we can stream on YouTube or platforms and actually see the chat, which is amazing, because before then you had to have another pair of headphones having voices, like AI voices, reading the chat to you, which to me is it's got to be like a major headache to try to like listen to a voice while also trying to chat about playing a game and balance all those things. So I'm glad they at least figured that part out, but this is years later that they should have been doing that from the start.
Wow.
I don't know. We'll see what happens with Apple though. When Apple comes in, that could kickstart the whole VR thing again, and everyone will be like, "Well, I can't afford the $3,500 headset, so here's the Quest 3, which is the cheap version of the Apple Pro."
Well,
Maybe that'll happen.
What Apple is doing though isn't necessarily VR; it's XR, which is like a hybrid of VR and AR. Like, it's not necessarily something for a virtual world. It's more kind of enhancing.
And I kind of feel like that's the Pizzone is a pizza that's shaped like a calzone.
I know,
AR is already a hybrid of VR and reality.
Yeah. Look, it's not my terminology, but this is what
Apple again, making up words.
Yeah.
Huh.
But yeah, as far as Apple kickstarting everything, not with the Pro. It's too expensive. It's coming in at what, like $3,500?
Something like
Yeah.
that.
$3,500 American.
Also, most of the people who would be interested in that would be more likely to pay $3,500 for something with an Apple on it than $1,500 for something that doesn't.
So that's like that's like 6 G's Canadian, right?
I guarantee it's more money than I got.
Yeah.
If you need glasses, added an extra $700 onto that.
Probably. I'm like,
yeah.
My point is the Pro in the Vision Pro is kind of the more important part. Nobody's predicting that Apple is going to revolutionize the VR space until they get a affordable version of this technology. Like, from what I understand, like the Vision Pro does blow everything else out of the water, but I'm like, at $3,500, it better.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that'll be the thing. If it doesn't blow people out of the water at 13.5, or it's going to be just death nail for that entire whole operation. If they're pass through, like if you look through the camera and you see your actual space and it looks blurry or not clear, crystal clear, people are going to be like, "This is not what I paid $3,500 for."
Yeah. But putting that aside, do you have any experience with like the HTC Vive? Or
I honestly I've played PC VR using my Quest headsets. I've never used the HTC Vive. I've never used any other. The only headsets I've ever used are the Quest 1, Quest 2, Quest 3, PSVR 1, and then I've done like the Google Cardboard stuff back in the day, forever ago.
But With my astigmatism, the only VR I'm going to be doing anytime soon is taping my magnifier box to my fucking forehead when it comes in on Monday.
That's cardboard.
Yeah, exactly. Slide my phone in there and call it a day.
I'm over here.
So with that being said, like, what is your guys' experience playing VR? Anyways, I don't imagine any of you have a headset yet. Maybe Adam does.
No.
Do not.
I have pretty bad motion sickness. I tried it back when it was like an Oculus at a Best Buy and immediately went to the back room to throw up. The bathroom.
I'm one of those people I'm one of those people that gets a headache when I turn on 3D mode on my 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
I just don't have $1,000 lying around to invest in that kind of technology, especially. How do I put this? Just how novelty based everything seems to be in VR, or at least most things.
That, and I'm less coordinated than Fillion.
Yeah. Because you brought up like Half-Life Alyx, which is generally seen to be the high watermark of VR. But that's because Valve is like one of the only developers out there that has the resources to invest in something as niche as VR. It's kind of a chicken and egg problem.
There's a handful of games that are on the level of Half-Life Alyx, and again, it's 100% what you said. We're talking about funding something that costs enormous amounts of money that you're probably not going to get back unless suddenly there's 30 million VR players, and there is not 30 million VR players.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say, you know, that after watching Markiplier play the VR version of Five Nights at Freddy and nearly kill himself in the process, I just can't afford those medical bills.
Yeah. I think from like some of the on our sister show Fragments, I think like game dev for VR is just prohibitively more expensive than just regular game dev in general.
Yeah. It's also
and
more
for completeness, I'm also headache prone, and particularly almost anything that goes around my head elastically causes headaches very quickly. So
yeah,
headset is probably a no-go.
So, that being said,
go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say I was assuming there was a reason that you asked specifically, but we may have answered that question loosely in that deluge of conversation there.
Basically, our VR experience is very limited at best, due to various factors.
Yeah, we like watching antics on YouTube, but actually participating is a different story.
Yeah, or speaking to VR producers and developers of various sorts. I've had people who develop VR games on my personal program, but as far as experience, not so much. Especially when you get into the various kinds of VR. You're into the Oculus Quest, which is normal level VR, I guess, or portable VR, versus the tethered VR of the Vive, or just flat out room scale. Where you can the full body experience, which is a thing in and of itself. Now, like VR is an interesting space, but it's also one that's limited by its technology, unfortunately.
I mean, even control-wise, there's so many factors that you have to consider that you don't consider for a normal game. Like, your arms are physically moving. Every way you grab every object, every way you interact with everything. If when I have a gun in my hand and I press the wall, my controller doesn't vibrate, then I don't feel the immersion level. That requires individual programming for every single object and every single surface. That's not something you can just program in easily if you're a small developer. It takes so much time, and it takes the right tools to like help you with that time. But I was good friends with a guy that he's a young guy, and he made a Five Nights at Freddy's kind of clone VR game. And I watched where he started to where he is now, and he's not even making VR anymore. Now he's making like N64 styled indie games. But it's the reality that every single thing that you do in VR for a developer will, like, that one problem, that one glitch could be like 50 million glitches. Trying to figure it all out is never ending. And even the big games, you'll still find those kinds of glitches because it's just impossible to account for everything that could possibly happen in the VR space.
Honestly, I think until they invent realistic haptic feedback, I think there's a significant chance of me finding VR less immersive than, say, really good 16-bit pixel art.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a hard sell. I will definitely say though, like if you don't have the fear of motion sick, and you go on Marketplace and you get a Quest 2 for $150 or less, there is enough free things on the headset that will occupy you for that value of money. Like that is basically like buying 2 new full retail games. You will get 2 full retail games out of free games alone on that headset, even if it's just a toy.
Fair enough.
Hmm.
I'd have to try before I buy, so I know if the headset pressure headache thing is founded, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't act. So the way I wear my headset, I've taken off the facial interface entirely because I can't handle stuff being pressed against my face. And I'm the kind of person that wears, baseball caps. So I kind of have it in a way that it basically feels like I'm wearing a heavy baseball cap right now, which is extremely ideal for comfort settings.
So it's working
But
on the front?
it's basically I have counterweights on the back of the headset.
Ah,
So
okay.
it basically just feels like there's as much weight in the front as there is the back.
Mhm.
And so it just basically rests on my head like I'm wearing a baseball cap. It's heavy.
Ah, okay. So your
And
regular baseball cap is one of the things that I noticed giving me a headache.
Yeah, if you wear a regular baseball cap and you already have a headache, then there's no way you're wearing a VR headset.
All right.
But that being said, the technology and the way that it's going to go, I mean, Meta is already advertising these Ray-Ban glasses things. In 10 years, that'll be what VR is. You wearing a pair of sunglasses.
See,
And
that
I
would
think when they
probably
do
work.
that, I think once that happens, it'll be easy to get people into it. Basically, we're the beta testers. This is the NES of VR right now. We're still the early stages. We don't know what we're doing yet.
I mean, that's the hope. But I also remember that Google Glass was a thing. Yeah. But, and it would be a shame to see VR go in that direction, basically nothingness. But it's always something that I've been concerned with because of how constrained the technology is. But I suppose that is something we'll have to see in terms of time. Anyway,
I mean, realistically speaking, like I just gotta say on that point, realistically speaking, I bought the 3DS when it came out, and almost everyone that I talked to turned the 3D off. I bought a 3D TV when it came out, and there was nothing to do on the 3D TV because 3D just died. I bought the PlayStation Move, I bought the Kinect, I bought all this stuff, and none of it satisfied what it was promising whatsoever. VR is the first time any of these technologies have actually come together and done anything successfully at all. So it's already impressive that it's lasted this long. If it keeps going, awesome. If it dies and comes back in 20 years with proper technology, maybe that happens too.
So moving past that, and back to your videos, I'm wondering what is the creation process, or rather, is there any criteria besides finding a game on the the Meta store, and thinking that would make for a good video?
I mean, that really is what it comes down to. I try to avoid games that are actually on the main storefront because they get more attention. I try to go find hidden gem kinds of things before anyone else finds them, so I can sort of. I'm weird in the sense where I am more doing this to help out the small developers than I am actually trying to profit or make any benefit for myself on this. I find cool stuff and I'm like, this is cool stuff. I want to show the cool stuff so other people see the cool stuff. And that's really what it comes down to more for me than anything. When making a video, I used to, when people would send me a game key, it used to be like a big thing. And I'd be like, oh, they sent me a game key. I'm going to make sure to make this video. But then I got too many game keys and I can't cover everything. And some of the games are good and some of the games aren't good. And it just gets to a point where I'm like, I don't want to play these half-made indie games that are just in beta form that'll never be anything, that promise all these updates, but then the studio goes out of business a month later. It's just, as time goes on, I get less interested in playing those types of games. But when it comes to like making a video for me, it really comes down to I start playing the game. If I like it, then I will start recording the game and I'll get some footage. If I like what I've got together at that point, then I will edit that footage into something that looks somewhat decent, probably 5 to 6 minutes. Once I've edited that footage together into that, I will just come on here and I'll have already been thinking about my review or how I'm going to do the video, but I'll be chatting like this basically, and I'll just talk about the game for 5-10 minutes, hit my bullet points, and then edit that into a video, post that, and hopefully people like that. I've tried to do scripted stuff, but I sound robotic when I talk when I do scripted stuff. There was one video I did very early on that someone said I was inflating, or I forget the word, but basically I was talking like this for every single part because I was reading it and I was trying to sound like I was professional, but it just sounded not good. And I was thankful for that comment, despite it being somewhat like, a negative comment. I was like, yeah, that guy's right. This is not the way to make videos. I can't sit there and read and sound interesting. I need to talk from, how I actually feel about the thing. And that's worked out pretty well for me. I've had a lot of videos do really well that took me very little effort. But, at the same side of things, I had videos that I put a lot of effort in that didn't do as well. But that's social media for you, or the internet.
True enough. And do you ever intend to, or hope that the video creation thing becomes a full-time gig, or are you happy where it is now?
I mean, it goes two ways, because I've kind of, I mean, you guys have been doing online stuff forever, but it negatively affects your mental health when things aren't going so well with that kind of stuff, even if you try to avoid it. And the other part for me is that when I started doing videos, I was so excited about VR and playing VR. When I put on the headset now, it becomes doing YouTube. It's not doing VR anymore. It's doing YouTube. And it's hard to disconnect from that. I got the headset and I was like, I just want to play with this thing and enjoy the headset. And every time I put on the headset, it's like, oh, this could be a great video. This could be a great video. But I don't have time to edit all these videos, so they all become great video ideas, but it's still, I can't just enjoy the game as a gamer. I need to, everything I play, I'm judging it. And that, even though I don't review non-VR games, that goes into the other games that I play too. And it's fun, but at the same time, part of me wishes that I never did it. But at the same time, I mean, like, it's a huge bucket list to me. So if I didn't do it, I'd forever regret not doing it. But I don't make as many videos as I used to make because I just don't care that much.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Right. I'll see if my colleagues here have any further questions for you.
I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think I've said most of the things that come up.
I had a pretty good launch pad, so because since I'm occupying the VTuber space, I'm in the nether regions. I don't know if that's a phrase I want to use. There,
You're in the spectrum.
Yeah, I'm in the
spectrum of VR.
Yeah. So this fascinates me on several levels. So I was listening quite intently today, even though I'm half toast because I didn't sleep real well last night.
It is late anyway, so we're still alive at least.
I still have an Up Late with Mesa episode starting at 11 p.m. So,
well, I'm for me right now. It's 12:46 a.m. in Canada.
No, that's for me too. Sorry, Max did a freaking.
I'm in Arizona.
Arizona.
Yeah.
He's in a fake time zone.
Are you a football fan?
Not really. Not since I left San Diego because the Chargers were my home team and they sucked.
Well, the Arizona team is not doing so well right now. That's all I was gonna say.
Yeah,
it's a good thing you're not a fan then.
The Cardinals were making the Chargers look good for many years.
Yeah, I think they still are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still are. They still are.
Yeah. Well,
as the major sports fan of the bunch here, I can say unequivocally they still are.
Yeah, as long as Dean Spanos is still owner of the team, I will never go back to the Chargers.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
In the meantime, I go back to my town of my birth, Naperville, Illinois, and the adjacent team, the Chicago Bears. So.
Chicago sports in general.
What?
Justin Fields.
Well, I mean, I drive around wearing my Cubs baseball hat because it's my lucky hat that I was wearing when they won the World Series in 2016.
I'm thinking of the wrong Bears, I think.
Wow. Well, the Chicago Blackhawks are the hockey team.
Yeah.
I was thinking the football team, but
right. But the Cubs are the baseball team, and the White Sox are the.
Okay, that's what it is then.
The White Sox.
So the Bears are the baseball team.
Or one of the two. The Bears are football team.
I don't know baseball
White Sox and Cubs are football. Yeah. Well.
Yeah. I am not a Sox fan because I'm West Side.
There you go.
And those are the Bears, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they are.
Just as long as you're not a fan of the East Side.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to end up being drowned in the Michigan, so.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, because it's like Southies are Sox fans, and West Chicago and the Burbs are Cubs fans, for the most part. Yeah. That's how that works. Naperville is a suburb of Chicago.
Yes. Anyway,
I live in New England, so sports questions are easy.
It's Pats.
Yeah.
Are they? Pats are broke.
Patriots, Red Sox, Bruins.
Mm-hmm.
Also, always fuck New York.
There you go.
You gotta say like "fack New York," because you gotta sound like a Southie.
Sadly, I am not that.
I know, but still.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
I mean, if you're gonna be a Sox fan, you gotta say "fack New York." New York.
How did we talk about sports this long?
I don't know.
Because I was.
That's my fault. I'm sorry.
Because I was doing bad accents.
Anyway, I'm a sports guy here, but anyway.
That was my motivation.
Yeah. Anyway, entertainment news, because we've got news in the entertainment field.
That's right. And I am going to preface this by saying that I'm going to cut this off in 10 minutes because I need a nap for my next show. But
that's fine.
That should be enough to cover the basics.
Yeah. Well, I suppose we should start with offering a condolence.
Wait. I do want to say thank you to our guest for being with us tonight before we jump into entertainment news because, we don't want it to sound like we're just unceremoniously cutting him off.
Well, it was happy talking to you guys. I had a good time chatting VR with you guys, and I still will say, just if anyone's listening, if you have $150 Marketplace Quest 2, it's a fun toy. It's a fun toy. If you want to just play with it, fun toy, and you'll get your $150 back if you want to resell it.
And we got at least 5 people listening, so I mean that's good.
Oh.
One last thing. Anything you want to promo before you go?
No, I'm honestly, I'm just happy to be on the show and hang out with you guys. I was gonna say I'm gonna promo that people should be watching this podcast and watching the other Fragments of Silicon podcast. You guys were talking about Sonic Superstars earlier on. I was checking that out. So
yeah,
awesome.
Sounds like you guys make awesome content, and I was checking out your art thing. I finally found out where this podcast is. I was like, what podcast am I on? And then I like rechecked the message. I'm like, oh, it's this one. It's not this one. I'm watching the wrong podcast.
Yeah,
but I was checking out your art streams too. So you know what? Check out your stuff. That's what I want to promote.
There you go. Awesome. I appreciate that. And I am the creator of Starship Moonhawk, so that's what we've been working on largely. All right.
There you go.
Well, I really thank you for being on the show.
No, I'm happy to be here.
All right. Now, you are welcome to stay with us until the bitter end, but we're going to be talking about strike news and other things, so stick around.
All right. Well, there's only 10 minutes left, and I'm down.
All right, Adam, let's do it.
All right. Well, so we begin this week by not talking about strike news, but corporate mergers and acquisitions. Because the word has finally come down on the fate of Hulu. Yes, it was announced just a couple hours ago at time of recording that Disney, not unsurprisingly, has entered talks to buy out the Comcast shares, or Universal, or however you want to frame it.
It's Comcast. It's Comcast.
Still all are one.
Turns out the brand is profitable after all.
Well, yeah. I'm like,
well, we don't necessarily know just yet, because they have said that they're going to buy the remaining stake, but they haven't agreed upon the actual price, and that is what's going to be taking the next couple of months in order to figure out. Now, Disney says that they are expecting to pay, what's the price? $8.61 billion. However, the possibility exists that it might actually be a higher price in the final appraisal.
The only thing that we know for sure is that they had a sort of minimum guarantee based on market value. That they have to buy it at fair market value.
Right, and the question is what exactly that what that fair market value is. Now, Disney believes that it's $8.61 billion, but it's actually the lowest possible price on that, and it could actually be a little bit higher than that.
Well,
just depends on what the final appraisal is.
Yeah, well, 2 years ago they were talking about it being worth $27.5 billion. You know, so that's a pretty substantial drop. And considering the fact that you know, but they have until January 31st where they have to make a decision, because that is their contractual obligation under the original arrangement.
Right. But Disney said that they're going to get it, but it's just a case of, you know, what is going to be the price tag?
How much of it?
They
how much of
to
it
pay
are they going to parcel?
$8.6.
How much of it? How much, and how much are they going to have to parcel off to pay for it?
Right. Exactly. It's basically what the price is. Now they expect it's going to be still at 8.6, but it could well be 9 million. It could be 10. It could be higher than that. It just depends on what the final appraisal is.
Yeah.
They would love it if it stayed at 8.6, but it might not stay that way.
Yeah.
Just watch the space in the first couple months of next year.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll find some dollar amount, but that's not the big question that's hovering over Hulu. It's not the big question is, will Hulu exist post, purchase? And
or will they just roll up all their assets into Disney Plus or whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Hulu will continue to exist after the buyout.
It works for them as a meta brand, but there was talks about them selling ABC.
Right. But that's not what this is about.
Right. But I'm just saying that, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, first of all, there's Hulu's own audience, which is I think what 34 million or something like that.
Right. And they do have a considerable amount of unique programming as well.
Yes.
Right. And they like to, and it's also the fact that they love to do the bundle type of thing with Disney, Hulu, and also with ESPN Plus. And I'm pretty sure that they don't want to end that too quickly.
Yeah.
At this point, because considering how much of a money loss it is.
Yeah, $20 a month is a hell of a lot better for their bottom line than $12 a month.
Yeah. It's also what sort of contractual obligations, beyond Comcast might exist.
Because Hulu also is a live television provider.
Right.
Among other things, because
among other things, yeah.
I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about here. Crunchyroll. Even though Funimation has turned into Crunchyroll, the Funimation streaming service still exists, and there's quite a bit of content that's on Funimation that is not on Crunchyroll because of how the original contracts were signed. And it's going to be
the major distributor, so
yeah, and because Hulu is its own entity, Hulu LLC. Yes, it's even though it'll be owned by Disney, it's a different thing than say Disney Plus. There are these are the particulars about corporations that do matter in the details. Let's say.
If they rolled it into Disney as simply a subsidiary as opposed to a wholly owned and operated company, then they would lose a significant number of tax breaks.
Yeah, among other things. So I just think there's actually too much working against a full Hulu integration. We could see what it is with. I want to say like Showtime with Paramount Plus, or probably more succinctly, the Max, where you see an integration, but you're still going to have the standalone Hulu app.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Who you're talking about? You're talking about a couple other apps I don't have, and probably never will.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do want to conclude this bit of business by mentioning the passing of Friends actor Matthew Perry, who drowned suddenly not too long ago. Like I think Saturday night.
Was that official? Because they were withholding cause of death.
He drowned.
He was found drowned in his hot tub. Yeah. At the very least, we know that. We don't know how exactly that happened. That's what we don't know. We do know for a fact of where he was found.
Yeah. Any sort of toxicology reports, those are going to be in the weeks ahead.
Right.
I'm scrolling past anything that is posted about him on TikTok and other vertical format social media video platforms because it is all conspiracy bullshit about Epstein Island, and I'm ready to set the world on fire.
Yeah. Once you see that type of stuff, step away.
Yeah, they unalived him and it's like, get the fuck off my feed.
Stop it, please.
Yeah. Meanwhile, back here in reality, the outpouring has been shockingly positive.
Yeah,
I say that because let's just say Matthew Perry's drug issues were well known, but he got past those, and it also seems like he wasn't a secret asshole or anything like that, or a
No,
well-known
his
asshole.
his neighbors thought he was the bee's knees. They said he was like he was soft spoken and the nicest guy in the neighborhood. And on top of that, because he also talked about this before his death, was that he hoped that he would be remembered for the legacy of help and charity that he put out there for trying to help other people. He said, even if I can't save myself, if I can save even one other person from addiction, then I feel like my life was enriched. You know,
he wrote that book, right?
That my life.
He had that addiction book.
Memoir.
Mm-hmm.
Got a memoir, yeah.
That I don't know. I saw people saying that helped them a lot, so hopefully it did.
Yeah. So I mean, he because he said that he was never sure that he would ever be able to fully kick addiction, but if he could help other people get off of addiction, then it was a life well lived.
Yeah.
It always should be applauded when you.
Yeah, he wanted people to remember him for that more than, he's like, it's great that people talk about Friends and my success there. He's like, but my real passion was helping people, and I could not think of a better epitaph.
Yeah. And I think that's a good note to conclude on.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right. Let's see. So let's see what we got going on. Next week, we are going to have Ian Thorpe of Historic Nerd. It's a YouTube channel that follows the influence of history in gaming and also really random reviews. Now, Adam, do you have any more insight to add to that? Because I believe this is another one of your ads.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've watched one of his videos, mainly because this was set up almost a year ago. It's just he was out of country until recently. So we weren't able to get things set up until much more recently. That's why he hasn't put out a video in a while as well. But I am looking forward to it.
Yeah, it sounds great. And of course, the intersection of history and video games is right in my wheelhouse too. So given the nature of this channel, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's going to be pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to that. And of course, everybody, don't forget to switch over to my VTubing channel, The Mace Paladino, twitch.tv/The Mace Paladino at 11 p.m. Pacific tonight. Well, let's say between 11 and 11:30, because I do need to take a little nap before that because I am wiped. But I will be on playing more Mary Skelter Nightmares on Up Late with Mace, and then tomorrow we'll be doing Honkai Star Rail between 9 and midnight, and an art stream on Friday, so that'll round out our week. And that's it for Retro Gaming Emporium this week. That's it for Moonhawk Studios Presents. Again, a big thank you to our guest tonight, LipnoxVR, for being on the program. And
thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, I am your host, Mac Paladin, saying thanks for watching. Stay safe out there, kids.